Okay. Welcome. I'd like to call the Selectmen's meeting of Monday, August 12th, 2024 to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, today we're going to start the meeting with public input. Come on up to the table. And for the record, please state your name and address.
Vanessa Vidum, I am the trustee of the Normies Pond Revocable Trust, or in other words, the property on 171. Dave, nice to meet you. I met you before.
Nice to meet you as well.
I live in Miltonboro. I live at 31 Cloudview Drive in Miltonboro.
Thank you.
The reason I'm here today is because of a letter that I received from the town attorney on behalf of the Selectmen. I have a few questions for you, but the first question I'd like to start with is, how many of you have been out to the property this summer?
I have not this summer. I was last summer.
Okay. Yep, I remember that you said that you'd been out there. Actually, I think the first time you'd gone out was in 2022, right after the initial complaint from the neighbors. Dave, have you been out there at all?
I have not.
And Chip, have you been out there at all? But it was before this year.
I spent a couple hours out there this year. So
Did you walk
I didn't walk
the property?
I didn't walk the whole property.
You didn't walk down the power line and see the layout of what's in back of the power line? Okay. Did you, when you were out there a couple of years ago?
I didn't walk the property. I just went down there to listen and hear and
Gotcha.
get an overall view of what was going on.
And at that time, we were mostly all concerned about the noise and what was happening there, because there were a lot of people there at the time. This letter, there's a couple of paragraphs in this letter that pretty much accuse me of not telling this board that part of the property was on Vidum property and part of the riding was on Vidum property and part of the riding was on Holmes property. And I want to set the record straight. That's not so.
What's not so?
As that you were not told.
We were not told.
Well, I
We
think
recorded all of our meetings. We were not told.
if you go back to the April 4th, 2022 meeting, when Mr. Fusco and Mr. Radcliffe first came in here to complain about the property, they told you it was partially on Vidum property and partially on
So
the
you
Holmes
didn't
property.
tell us. You're saying that,
never-
whoever it was, the neighbors told us. Is that your position?
Well, let's go further. When I submitted my letter to you folks in, I think it was it was in September of that same year, we were all concerned about the accusations that it was a business in a residential zone, that there were events being held out there, and that there were large amount of spectators out there.
Okay, we already litigated that with you folks before. Nothing has changed about your property. Not a bit.
I understand.
Nothing has changed.
I understand,
So
but
none
can
of those
you
issues-
understand that I take offense to being told in here that I didn't tell you? Because that's the beginning of my conversations.
I'm not sure it says it in those words. I think that what it says, actually, would you mind reading that sentence? If you don't want to, I'm happy to.
The last paragraph on the first page.
It came as something as a surprise then when Ms. Vidham testified at the Board of Tax and Land Appeals hearing on May 29th, 24, that that most of the track was actually located on Holmes property and not Vidham property.
So, just for clarification, nowhere in that statement does it say that you did not tell us. All it does is say that you provided that information. Subsequently, we were unaware of that information, but it doesn't say that you purposely neglected to tell us. That is not
It says,
the way
in
it
the
is.
previous paragraph, it says, based on the information the town had at that point, the selectmen believed that the limited use of the property by friends and acquaintances with the permission of the Vidhams was a permitted accessory use of the property, which does not require zoning relief.
right.
Okay?
I consider that accurate.
Okay.
That's why I
In
said nothing has
conclusion,
changed.
this conclusion was based upon the facts the Vidhams provided and the representations they made regarding the limited use of the property.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
So, that aside, this letter is taking challenge to the fact that Mr. Holmes, a good friend of my brother and a good friend of our family, is allowing Jim and his friends to use his property, and he doesn't live on that property, but he allows the use of it.
Yep.
Okay. My next question is going to take a little advanced preparation. This town has numerous hiking trails used for recreation, and many of those hiking trails go across raw land. And often, the owners of that raw land provide parking and allow the public to use those hiking trails for recreation. Numerous properties in this town. In addition to that, though there aren't many left, there are lots in this town on Winnipesaukee and on other ponds in this town that the landowners are kind enough to let friends, relatives, and even the public at times use their property to access waterways for canoeing, kayaking, fishing, even swimming. And they, in some places, provide parking. And sometimes it's not just friends and family and neighbors, sometimes it's the public. And there are miles and miles of snowmobile trails going from Wolfboro across Tuftonboro property to Ossipee, Wolfboro across Tuftonboro properties to Moultonboro. State of New Hampshire has gone to property owners, gotten their permission for recreational use of those properties for snowmobiling, not just private, but the public. Two people who have given that permission to the state of New Hampshire for snowmobiles are the Holmes and the Vidham families. Not just Vidham property that has a home on it, but other Vidham property on the other side of 171. My next question to you is this. Here we got two good old boys that have lived in this town and grew up in this town all their lives, allowing each other to use their property to cross it and for recreation. Are all those other people that I noted before going to get letters like this telling them that they have to come before the town for for a zoning variance?
Some of them might. I mean, to conflate hiking with motorcycle riding is totally absurd. The snow machine process has been in place for years and years and years. There are laws passed about liability for snow machining. The problem we have here is that Mr. Holmes has never come before this board about this track, ever. So I don't care how good friends you are, or if you have a partnership agreement, which I've never seen, he needs to come before this board. We haven't changed anything about the use of the Vidden property. So you really don't have any standing in this, other than to say that whatever business you've got going on with Bill Holmes is gonna have to go through the process. His land is not in current use. He doesn't have any of the protections.
This isn't a current use issue.
Of course it is.
This is a
Because
zoning issue.
our decision was based upon current use law.
Not this letter.
Okay, let's go all the way through it, Vanessa. You're smarter than that. When we made the decision that we made that allowed the use of the track on certain hours, it was all premised upon the current use law. We went through that argument or that conversation for a good long time to get to the point where it seemed to comply or did comply with current use law for recreation. His land is not in current use. It's in low designation residential. So he has to at least come to us, but probably go to the planning board. That's just the rules.
Like every other person along that power line, all the way to Wolfboro, are you gonna ask all of those people to come in here and go before zoning to allow snowmobiles to cross their property? I get it that off-road vehicles are different. The state of New Hampshire says that to use a property for off-road vehicles, you need to go to the landowner and ask their permission, which is precisely what we did. By the way, Mr. Holmes had already come to us to ask if he could cross our property when he was logging his property. Friends do things and allow friends to use their property.
And there's a big difference between a trail crossing someone's property than a track on somebody's property, contained within a piece of property. And we supported your position until we found out that a lot of the track was on someone else's piece of property. We supported that, and you were allowed to do what you guys were doing on your property.
So what you're telling me is that you see off-road vehicles on trails within a piece of property being very different. This is not a race track. And if you look, there is no racing that goes on there. This is just my brother and his friends riding on a trail. Granted, that trail has multiple loops to it in order to provide a ride without having to go on other people's property. But it's confined to approximately 1.5 acres on ours and 1.5 acres of 100+ acres on Holmes' property.
Okay, I would disagree with that because there isn't 1.5 acres of track on your property. There isn't. Add it up. The vast majority of that track is on Holmes' piece. So it isn't half and half. It isn't even, I'm struggling with the idea of a partnership. And it isn't.
I didn't say the word partnership.
You
this
did.
is two friends allowing each other to ride on their property.
I was at
business.
that meeting in Concord. When you said we have a private agreement with Mr. Holmes, that connotes a partnership of some form. Did he do the construction on the land? I don't know. Did he clear all the trees and
All
sell the timber?
those trees were cleared at the time he sold his timber. That end of the property was the log landing. And when Jim began having kids, allowing kids to ride under the power line on our property, he came over and welcomed them to use his. And then when Chief Shigori said, look, I'm a little concerned about all those cars parked along the road, that first year was a nightmare for all of us. Our neighbors, us, partially because of all the press that it got. Partially because my brother said online, look, if you want to see what it is, don't believe what other people are telling you about it. Come out and see it. And people did. And people from all over the area, in an attempt to show solidarity to him, came out and rode to show solidarity. That's not what happens there now. Less than a third of the people who came that original year are coming back now. And that's why I asked if you'd been out there. If you would go out there and look, you will see.
Okay, it doesn't change anything, Vanessa. We have not said that you cannot do that on your property. Nowhere in this letter or any other document or statement by this board have we said you cannot do this on your property. What we've said in the letter is that the tract that's on Mr. Holmes' property doesn't qualify for the exemption for recreational use that current use land has. He needs to come to us. You can't come for him. He needs to come. You don't own that property. You've not presented some sort of partnership agreement, so he needs to come in.
Partnership agreement denotes a business, and we are not a business. We are neighbors allowing people to use our property, and it sounds to me personally like what you're doing is you're discriminating against off-road vehicles.
No.
Simply
You're,
because
no.
I just said you can do all of what you've been doing, according to the Board of Selectmen.
On your property.
How is that discrimination?
And we thought that the whole thing was yours. I thought the whole thing was yours. I didn't know that it was on Bill's property.
Right. The vast majority of the testimony that's come before this board has been the track that we're building, the track that we organize, that we're going to set hours, we're going to do this, we're managing this situation.
And all because Bill said, you do it, you're welcome to use my property.
But Chip and I were the ones that that made that decision,
Right.
if you want to call it a decision. It really wasn't a decision, but to allow it to continue without shutting you down, essentially. The information that was provided, we interpreted it as you using it yourself, personal property, and friends. Once it became a venture larger than that, or if any other items of fact changed, that changed everything. Dave wasn't on the board when that decision was made. It was just Chip and I, and you were allowed to do it. Your property is in current use, and there are certain OHRV exemptions for recreational use on current use property. That all came into the fold. Bill's property does not enjoy those same protections from current use property or the OHRV exemption, much less zoning. He's not riding, these aren't his friends, these are your friends. That is, in our opinion, a violation of the Tufton Borough zoning ordinance.
And the other...
Hold on. This is not an arbitrary decision that we made. Not at all. We looked at this very, very carefully. We were elected to represent the town's best interests. And according to the zoning regulations, the way that this stepped over, as soon as we found out that it became, that most of this was on Bill's property, that changed everything. We were in support when we thought it was your property. But now that it's on someone else's, that changed it. So we are representing the town of Tufton Borough zoning ordinances, which were voted in by the people This is not an arbitrary decision that we made. We are just following
I
the
understand.
zoning regulations. And you have, hold on, let me finish, please. You have a method of appeal. You have multiple methods of appeal. This is your first. You can come to us, represent your case, bring us facts that we can make decisions on. This is all about facts, not opinion or feelings. Hold on. This is about facts. And if you're unsatisfied with our decision, the next step is the ZBA. You can appeal to the ZBA on our decision and tell them how we were wrong. You have to present facts again, articulable facts. And if you're not satisfied with the ZBA's decision, you can then go to Superior Court and appeal. So you have multiple ways of appeal. And like I said, we made our decision based on the facts of the Tufton Borough zoning ordinances, and we were representing the town.
And
Simple as that.
the other point that came up, and is part of that letter, I think, I haven't read the whole thing that carefully, but your use of the property for motorcycles is ancillary to the residence that's there. So not all of that property is in current use, part of it's in a residential lot. Holmes's property has no ancillary residence. There's no residence included. So the residential benefit of inviting friends over to party doesn't exist for him. So that's another element.
I definitely got that
Yeah.
from the letter, which is precisely why I'm concerned. If this town is going to treat Mr. Holmes this way, not living on the land, not allowed to tell his neighbor that his neighbor can ride on it, and yet so many pieces of raw land in this town allow for snowmobiling and other types of recreation, and you're not going to send those people a letter and tell them they have to come. This sounds to me like discrimination in some fashion.
Then by all means, hire an attorney and take us to court. Because if you really feel like that, then there's nothing we can say. We have a position that's pretty clear and I think pretty fair. We have noticed Mr. Holmes with this letter as well. He can come in, state his case. No decision's been made other than to shut it down on his portion of the property until he does come in. So, as Bob said, you haven't exhausted your appeal process. The problem is you can't conflate what you're doing to everything else in the world. We look at each individual set of facts and each individual situations and apply the zoning regulations and the town regulations to them.
And it's a case-by-case basis, not a broad spectrum.
Yeah.
What one will apply for one may not apply for another, even though they look similar. There's enough differences that we have to apply them
That's why we have
individually.
ZBA.
Dave, you had something to say?
The only thing I was going to say was, if you were Mr. Holmes, do want to bring forth an appeal, the best thing to do would be provide something that we can go on, an RSA. You mentioned the use of recreational vehicles. I understand where you're coming from on that, and to a large degree, I actually agree with you. However, let's be specific. Bring the RSAs that apply to those things. Bring the zoning law things that apply to those things. Rather than talking hearsay, let's look at it in black and white. And just remember, of course, that Mr. Holmes has to be involved.
You could transfer property. Bill, if you guys are that good friends, Bill could give you enough property to continue doing what you're doing. Carve out that piece, and my position that was prior to the letter would stay the same.
Okay, it'd still have to go to the planning board. So it isn't as if they've completely sidestepped local regulation. And that's been the problem all along, is that there's been no participation in the local regulation on your side, other than coming to the selectmen when we hear complaints or your neighbors take you to court. There's a process everyone has to go through. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are, what you know, you've asked us to make a decision, and we did make a
I
decision.
read the zoning completely. It does not talk about not building. There's no buildings, there's no, it was ground that was already there that's being ridden on. On our property, you keep going back to the fact that you say you made concessions for us.
We didn't make concessions. Let's not use that term loosely. We interpreted the zoning ordinances, the OHRV regulations, current use law. All those came into our decision. It was not an arbitrary decision. And we came to the conclusion, Chip and I were the ones that voted at that time, that you were allowed to do what you were doing on your property. I have no problem with it. I still support it to this day.
Yeah, the board does support that use on your property. The problem is it's not on your property.
When we
And
found out,
it's not as simple as riding motorcycles on ground with no trees. There's been significant alteration of terrain to create the track that you speak of. So it's not a simple trail. It is a project of some form. So you have to take that into account.
Thank you for hearing me tonight.
Thanks for coming in.
you're welcome. Next is minutes of July 29th. Meeting minutes of July 29th, 2024. I've read those. They looked in order to me.
Yeah, I thought that we had voted on the voting machine, but I guess it's worded just as well, but we're not willing to support it.
I don't think it was a vote. I think it was just a,
It was not a vote.
None.
They were seeking opinion, and we gave an opinion.
yeah.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of Monday, July 29th.
I will second that motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we have non-public minutes of July 29th.
I'll make a motion that we accept these and seal them.
And we've already sealed them, but they will
Or-
remain sealed.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 And that's Rachel.
And 4:30, Revision Energy, running late, sorry. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Please.
Thanks for having me back. How's everybody?
Very well, yourself?
Good.
Just for the record, please state your name and who you're representing.
Yeah, absolutely. Rachel Eads here on behalf of Revision Energy, who is going to be constructing your town solar project.
And we're here to discuss the operation and maintenance service agreement, correct?
Yep, and any other questions you might have about that?
Yeah, schedule of events, I think we ought to touch on too.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll start with the caveat that if your questions are super specific to legal language or things like that, I'll defer to my co-owners, but happy to help where I can today, and if not, can take your questions back and get proper expert answer for them.
Do you want to do the maintenance agreements first?
Sure,
Okay,
sure. You know what, this is kind of your ball.
thanks.
I'll let you roll it.
All right, you gave us in Exhibit 1, operation and maintenance service agreements.
Yep.
And they're significantly the same, with the exception of minor electrical inspections.
Mm-hmm.
What's the benefit of that?
It basically means we're out here in person more often.
Okay.
I can send you like a copy of the sheet for major and minor inspection form. It's basically what the inspector has to fill out. It's photos for each thing. But it's sort of just two different levels of touch points.
So this is not something we have to determine today.
No, so operations and maintenance is something that we offer as a service by our visionary. It's by no means required. You know, we build projects and don't do the O&M. We do O&M for projects we don't build. You know, it's kind of a separate business.
But it doesn't affect the construction.
No, it doesn't affect the construction. Sometimes people will say, yep, let's do O&M at the same time just because we're doing all the contracting and they know they want it. But no, you can enter into O&M at any time. And the first inspection wouldn't be till the system's in service for about 9 months to a year anyways. You want to make sure it goes through a hot summer and a cold winter first before you start checking, okay, what's the torque, did everything, you know, make it through. So we wouldn't take any O&M action for probably a year after the system's been out there operating anyways. So yeah, just to say, like, I certainly recommend it for large systems, like preventive maintenance on any large asset you might own. But yeah, this is optional. So what we call EQC contract is underway. You know, our team's already working away on that, and this is just, you know, do you want us to look after it proactively, or would you rather do that yourself?
So when it says year one, that's not,
It's like the end of year one, so it's been in operation a year.
so it's been a full year since it's been in operation.
Exactly, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to come like the week after we installed it, but it does make a lot of sense to check it after a full year in the minimum conditions.
So the other thing that confused me a little was production modeling. The system must include an existing energy production modeling analysis to be reviewed and approved by the contractor. If the owner cannot provide this analysis, we'll enter a separate written agreement. How much does one of these?
Sorry, what page are you on, just so I
I'm on
can.
page 6. 6 of 17. Item 6.
Yes.
You got it?
Yep.
Way down at the bottom. 6.1.
Different from web-based monitoring, because see, that's the next section. That's basically just your power dash that we set you up with. And, production modeling is separate from that. Let me confirm with our service team just to understand the difference between production modeling versus the web-based monitoring. They may need, it may mean just the existing energy usage of the facility, so if we're comparing like a before and after, but let me check on that 6.1.
Okay.
Okay.
'Cause it may, that
Yeah, good
analysis
question.
may happen the first year that it's turned on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, the sort of the spirit of that section is basically saying we need data in order to tell you if it's performing or not. So
Right.
if your system needs internet for that, you know, we rely on you to keep the internet turned on at the building. You know, that's kind of the spirit of these points, you know, internet connectivity, the web-based monitoring. The cool thing is that actually allows us to do a lot of service remotely. You know, nowadays everything's computers, so you can kind of reboot things from afar, which is great because you can, you know, potentially troubleshoot a problem much quicker. Some things obviously require a rolling truck and an actual person, but a lot of things don't. So I know having access to those systems, basically it says if we can't see them remotely, then we can't do the remote fix. But that's not the production modeling, so I'll ask about 6.1.
Okay.
Good question.
And 7.1, any work you do is going to be warranted for 6 months from the date of your repair. That's my.
For the repairs, yeah. Our blanket warranty is 5 years workmanship. So the good thing about having an O&M contract is if we're out there proactively doing things, say we do find an issue and it's under the 5 years, you know, you didn't, maybe it's not really an issue yet, but we spotted it, we're gonna correct it, and you're under that 5 years, that's all free and covered by us, as opposed to if you maybe didn't notice it yourself or something. So in some ways, O&M helps you get the best value out of our 5-year workmanship warranty. But that specific line is just the warranty of a corrective fix to the system.
Okay, I think we can talk about that amongst ourselves at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, good questions.
Where did I see that?
So, just point of clarification.
Yeah.
Year 2, a system fails for some reason, whatever that system happens to be.
Mhm.
It's covered for 6 months, but you have a 5-year period, so there should be, in theory, 3 more years regardless?
Yeah, so if it's basically anything goes wrong with the system in those 5 years related to our workmanship, we're covering it.
Yeah.
So if that line is like if we got you know, maybe an extra part, or say this was right at 5 years, you know,
Right.
the warranty for that particular.
Right, so it makes sense later on in the,
Yeah, it's
in the
sort of
cycle.
moot when, if it's anything to do with our workmanship, that blanket workmanship warranty.
In the first 5 years.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And after that, I should note, I mean, definitely, we're still at your service for any system we build, you know, you call us, but if it's after the 5 years, we'll bill you for our labor.
Hmm.
So say it's a problem with the panel, we'll deal with hassling with the manufacturer, get the panel under warranty, and the only thing after 5 years is our technician's labor. to
Right.
do that.
And a minor item, on the very front page, owner's on-site contact.
Yeah,
You have
the
me,
contact.
you have me listed. I shouldn't be. I'm an elected. I might not be here.
Yeah.
Next year?
Yep,
You should probably have either the town administrator or the code officer. I'll let them decide who
yeah.
should
or
be the
like
point of
Chris
contact.
At the transfer.
Or
station,
Chris at the
whoever-
transfer, absolutely.
Either, like whoever, basically this is the person who you want our service team interfacing with, probably the person who in their day-to-day works closest with the equipment, which might be someone like Chris, or if you want to keep it through the town office. Totally up to you, but I agree, I suppose we're leaving it like that for the moment because you were one of the signatories, but happy to
Yep.
change that.
Yep.
So if you or Audrey or Tammy or someone.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll let Audrey figure that out. It should probably be either her or Chris. You're right. Chris should be on there.
Yeah, we can change that, no problem. But I assume you guys will still be the signers of it, potentially?
Yes.
Any kind of contracting, okay.
Yes.
Somewhere in this pile, I don't know where it went, is the event calendar. And it looked as though it was running well out into 2025, October, I think is what
Yeah, so
the
we expect to meet NTP, which is notice to proceed, in about 8 months. With the main factor being DES permitting. Interconnection should be following that time frame. Because you guys are on the same property as a capital landfill, you have to go through extra permitting that, you know, regular field wouldn't have to. And that's the one where, just for expectation setting, you know, realistically is probably gonna run 6, could be even 9 months. We put 8 in as our estimated time. Just as a heads up there, that's a long body to do permitting with. We do it all the time, and so first step there is we'll put in a pre-application. And so that will actually tell us what their requirements are, and, you know, we can keep you informed at that stage. End of the day, we don't control them, but depending on what they say for the pre-app, we'll have an idea, okay, that, you know, typically takes us 3 months, or, oh geez, they want these extra things. So that pre-application is what the team's working on, but to do that, we have to have the surveying done to confirm. I mean, we're obviously not in the capital landfill, but they need survey data to show that. So that's sort of the wrinkle in getting to notice to proceed, but basically what notice to proceed means is all the permitting's been done, so electrical, DES, interconnection, so NGC says, yep, you can connect a system this size. All the remaining unknowns are known. Everyone says, we're good to build this. That's when we start construction of the project. So we say, hey, project's ready to go, and you say, yep, mutually agreed, let's build it. And, you know, we can be out there the next day, because it's not like we're doing nothing until we get to that point. You know, we got all your stuff ordered, it's ready to go, but we don't shovel in the ground until we have those permits in place. So 8 months from July is March of next year, so that's our best guess. And then, so we're committing to whenever we do have that permission to build, that we'll finish it within 7 months, which would bring us to October. If we can do it quicker, awesome. But that's probably pretty realistic for a ground mount on a landfill property of this scale. But we'll keep you informed throughout. Notice to proceed, like I said, is that one that could push a month or two. But right now, 8 months is still looking realistic.
So you can do things simultaneously though,
Yeah.
as if we have to wait for the
Yeah, so
yes.
exactly. So it's not like we wait for them to completely start, but we won't physically construct anything on the
Right.
site until we have
Like that.
the busing to do that. But yeah, things like, I mean, we order solar modules in large multi-megawatt orders, so buying the modules is really just assigning them to your project from our warehouse, things like that. So that's all happening in the background. Our project manager's scheduling, equipment days, things like that, all based on, once we're getting closer to time, we're starting to get more granular scheduling things. But that notice to proceed point is a mutual agreement to say, yep, let's go build this. So that's also a kind of a milestone on your schedule of values, and we wouldn't charge you for things until we know you're buying them, if you know what I mean.
Where are panels coming from?
So nothing from China, as per the RFP letter. So you guys have Q-Cells modules, which they're in Dalton, Georgia, which is their largest in the Western Hemisphere, actually. So that's where they're assembled.
What's the current lead time on ordering those panels?
Like I said, your panels are already in our possession. The Q-Cell 590s are like the major ground mount panels, so we order those in multi-megawatt orders for use across our 3 states for Maine, Mass, and New Hampshire.
Okay.
So we future purchase those, so yours are already in our South Portland warehouse probably. But your project won't buy them until we're ready to. But we use so many of those across so many projects, we're not worried that if your project doesn't use them,
You got them in the warehouse.
the next project will, yeah.
Okay.
So luckily, that's, I don't anticipate that being an issue. Questions?
So there's no more voting that we have to do on this? Or when you get the notice to proceed, we're gonna need to,
There's a form that just has to be signed. I think there's actually an example of the
I
form.
see it.
It's in the in the EPC contract.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
It was-
Yeah, it just.
So that's, once you've received all of your permitting,
Mhm.
then you'll ask us to sign that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it'll be IU as your developer. And that's kind of her final handover to Bobby, who's building.
And when do we meet Ivy?
Ivy's on vacation this week, otherwise I would have brought her with me.
Yeah.
So Ivy will probably be in touch primarily by email, which will probably go through either the town admin or the selectmen email, unless you guys want her to talk elsewhere, but probably coordinating, if Chris is the best person in terms of site access, we're gonna need to get surveyors in there,
Mm-hmm.
probably as our first
He is.
on-site action. So as part of, we do this internal handover, which is the same day that you guys are like, hey, what's happening? So I did kind of give Chris as the site contact, so that's good to know if that's correct.
Yep.
In terms of getting in there. So some things might be easier to do on a day the transfer station's already open, some might be easier on a day when it's specifically not open.
Yeah, I'm sure that
So that's-
we'll probably
yeah.
end up giving your foreman, or whoever is in charge of the job, the project manager, a key to the gate, essentially.
Yeah, probably when we get towards construction for the development stuff, like I said, we'll have to get a surveyor in there, wetland scientist probably.
Yep.
But the rest is a lot of paperworky stuff in the background.
Okay, cool. Dave?
I'm good.
Good, get it done as soon as you can.
Okay.
So what do you need from us today? Anything?
I don't think I need anything because we're under contract, so we're in motion. Things are happening on the building side. And if you want to execute the O&M, just anytime you can send it back signed, or if you have more questions, like I said, if you want to revisit it later, that's fine too. So doing it now starts to put you on our service calendar. You just have to get in the system. But yeah, there's no necessarily rush on that, because we still have to build it first.
Well, if it's not going to be in operation until fall of next year, we're not even going to be spending any money for operation and maintenance
Yeah, how
until
do you-
2026.
Yeah, so if you guys want to wait, like I said,
We don't even have to put it in the budget
advantage is
next
getting
year.
on our calendar, because we have hundreds of these that we do the
Yep.
yearly visits, so you're kind of slotted in, like, okay, we know
But
we're
the
building
payment
this.
isn't due until the service is done.
Yeah, we don't pay until we show up for that first,
I had a question earlier and I forgot to ask it, sorry. Can you elaborate on the performance package versus premium package?
Yeah.
Under
they're
section,
very
under section
similar.
4?
Yeah, they're very similar. Basically, in the premium, we're just out there more often, so it's more
So
physical
daily-
visits by a technician.
If you look at this part.
Those little X's.
Page
are
3.
they
Oh,
look-
okay.
At first,
Got
it's
it.
kind of like, yeah, they look very similar. But if you look, there are, or there should be,
Yeah, it's-
minor inspections for premium.
Minor electrical
Yeah,
inspections.
so basically on the off years, we do a full major at years 1 and 4, and then
Yep.
at 2, 3, and 5, 6, we come out and do a minor.
And minors are just basic lookovers.
If we're having a technician out here, they'll open things up.
Mhm.
But I suppose it's not as thorough as a major. Like I said, I can send you the inspection form for each.
That'd be nice to have.
Yeah, just for your kind of
Yep.
an example of this is what you would get.
And it doesn't affect the online inspections that you're constantly doing, right?
No, and like I said, a lot of
Both
things-
packages have that.
Yeah, both have guaranteed response time, remote troubleshooting, performance monitoring, that's kind of standard.
Yeah.
The only difference is how often we physically send a technician. Is it every year or?
And we have to provide an internet connection. I see that you talk about either a cellular device that's on the unit, which probably requires a subscription, or
Yes.
We have it on, out there
we could
already.
we could tie it into the building somehow,
Well,
either
look at the site, I'll see.
through wiring or a bridge.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we've quoted, but basically, it's not too hard. Basically, they can test the cell strength on site versus your Wi-Fi and see which they want to do. The main thing, I mean, cell card is good because it's just kind of constant. You know, sometimes we get calls. Even my own house, we changed the internet provider, and I forgot to like re-put in the password to my own solar, and I was like, "Why isn't it working?" And then it was just an internet connection thing. So I do just say that because sometimes the service team get calls that they're, you know, people's arrays are down, and it's just something to do with the internet. So that can be a problem with using Wi-Fi or Ethernet connected. I'll leave it to my colleagues who work in construction, their preference, probably site dependent, whether they choose to go cell card or connecting into the internet. If you have internet at the transfer station, then they have a choice. If there is no internet at the building, then we would just go cell card.
There's internet at the building.
Okay, so then I'd leave it to them to figure out their
Okay.
preference, but if you, at that point, have a preference yourselves, then you can do either.
Okay.
But the main thing is, yeah, you just want to be able to communicate, and that's the inverters send that data for both like a facilities management point of view, but also that's the cool data if you want to, you know, have it on your website. We can do a visualization for you. If people, you know, live want to, like the kids at the school want to see what the solar array in town is doing. That's also the same source of the data, but we just make it look prettier versus for like an internal facilities
That's a good idea.
view. But we can, it's like a little virtual thing. You can set up different views depending on what audience is looking at it.
Okay.
Other questions?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Can I send a monthly report, a monthly status report, even if things haven't changed? Just so when Chip comes in, I don't have to then email you and say, what's the status?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, yeah, I'll make note of that. She's actually like really on the ball with updates, but sometimes there might be a time when there isn't one, so I'm sure she'd happily do a monthly email.
And then when she comes back from vacation, or you'll find out that 6.1.
Yes, I'll ask my service team about that. Right. Anything else solar related?
We're good.
Yep, we're good.
Hope everybody's happy with the contract negotiations. We haven't made any enemies over there.
No enemies, not at all. Hey, we're all after the same goal here, building more clean energy, so we're psyched. We're very excited, so thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Exciting project.
Thank you. All right, Jack, code enforcement.
That's fenced in, right?
Hmm?
It's fenced in, right?
It will be.
Alright. So including the fence in the front.
Yes.
There's 103 building permits, 32 new houses, 31 certificates, and I've done 472 inspections. The boards on the dock were fixed the day the fire department told me, so they were fixed like 2 weeks ago.
Good.
At the beach, there's been some vendors there that sell their wares that were invited by the Parks and Rec director. We have a system to go through that, so he's invited stand-up paddle boards to go there and rent their paddle boards and all that, so I really believe that should happen because other people can't. Don't sell their wares there, so. This AC was left on by whoever used this building last, so
Yeah,
at 61.
no idea how long ago that was. 61.
So
Yeah, that always confuses me. Why do people choose the lower number? It doesn't make it cool down any
I
faster.
know, there has to go by a certain number to get there.
Right.
You know, so, but anyway, so I checked it today and all that, and I go by once in a while, I check the boiler downstairs and all that, I don't always come in here, I check on the phone what the temperature is in here, and it's, you know, when it cools off at night, you figure it cools off, but it's cooled off because of the AC, so. That's all I have.
All right.
Any,
Thank you.
Any building issues for the warrant?
Here, we should probably think about doing the back half of this roof and the part over the bathrooms. I'll get a price on what it would be. Probably just a little bit of extra, you know, raw repair, stuff like that around the buildings. But nothing, there's nothing major that I could think of.
Nothing at the town office. Okay.
Just, you know, money put aside for the stuff for the alarm system.
Right. We haven't got a price on that yet.
You know, so
They're working on it.
we gotta need power supply and some other
Well,
stuff.
that was done. The power supply was, they did that last week.
Wasn't done.
Yeah.
It was done?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they told me they left because it was,
Yeah, they came and upgraded the power supply, so
Yeah.
your panel's back online.
wasn't the day I was there, so.
It should be now.
I think they came in on Friday.
What was?
I forget what day I got
Because they were here and then they
the
were
call,
told to leave.
Thursday
so.
maybe.
Why are we looking at next year? I thought that project was.
No, this is different. This is, I'll provide a little explanation. I didn't have all of the information the last time we spoke, okay? So when they put in this fire suppression system in the vault, tying in that system to our old panel, apparently there wasn't enough. The transformer wasn't big enough. No, I was incorrect.
Okay.
It didn't have anything to do with points. It had everything to do with the power availability of the transformer to power up the panels. And so that's considered part of the project to make it work. So they did it. We have a bill in here, $300 and something. It wasn't expensive. It's going to come out of that money. But it also came with a recommendation to upgrade our old panel, our old fire system, which is a residential grade
Yeah,
fire panel, upgraded to a commercial grade fire panel, and that's what we're going to get a price on, and that's what's going to be. We're probably going to end up having to do a warrant article or something. But what he did Thursday was a repair,
Okay.
so we're cool.
okay,
We're cool with that. That's that sound.
yeah. And then the parking lot at the town office, you might want to look into either getting the cracks sealed or
Yeah.
starting to look forward to paving that in one of the projects, because it's getting pretty bad. It's pulled away probably 2 inches from the fresh apron at the police garage. The crack down the middle is pretty deep. I go out there once in a while and kill the weeds to keep them out of the cracks.
We don't have highway today, do we?
Well, we do, but he's not coming.
Yeah, it is knee replaced.
How long? I thought that you were up and walking in a day.
Apparently, he went to work today, and his knee swelled up like
Wow.
a watermelon. So
Is there a warranty on that?
decided to stay home.
I'll take a picture of his name if you want to see it.
Absolutely.
You want to see a picture?
I flunked out of medical school.
Thank you, Jack.
All right.
Thanks, Jack.
Good night.
I had,
You
I had
Okay.
asked the chief to come in only to observe. I thought we were having a public hearing on the Tibbetts Road, and we also had the public,
We are having a public
That's
hearing at 6.
6.
yeah. And we had public input earlier, which,
Public input earlier, yeah, so I think if you want to, you don't have to hang out if you don't want to anymore.
or you can.
It's up to you guys.
You can if you want to, but you don't have to.
Okay. All right.
We paying you overtime right now?
No, it's about salary.
All right, then hang out as long as you
All
want.
volunteer time. Come on now. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, have a good night.
Anything for me? Did I what? Did you have anything for me?
I was just gonna bring up an incident again last night at the beach. Last week, someone came in.
Stick around. Why don't you go in then when you're doing your thing? How's that?
All right, transfer station is not here, so we'll go to Parks and Rec. Right on time.
Should get brighter lights.
Parks and Rec.
What you think? You going
I have to come out of the Parks and Rec budget.
Kind of dim. No, but a lady came into the town offices last week and complained about the beach, that underage drinking in the water, dogs on the duck thing. Last night I get a call from Joyce, who was at the beach having pizza with 2 other couples. She turned the phone over to a lady. And I think the lady, I just spoke with Sergeant Lamb from the Sheriff's Department. He showed up and she was kind of dramatic. I don't think it was as bad as she was saying. That they were, again, out underage drinking, out on the docks with alcohol, dogs in the water, beer bottles all over the table, that they were throwing beer. And so I get there early this morning to check on glass. So anyway, I just talked to Sergeant Lamb. He finally got back to me. He left a message last night, and he agreed. He said the lady was over-exaggerating. He said no one underage was drinking. There were adults drinking. He called, is it Marine Patrol? And because they were on the docks, and they came and handled it. But he said it wasn't as bad as that lady was saying. But you know, the only question I'm saying is, you know, the only other thing I could do is maybe get more police presence, or maybe park a cruiser that we're not using down there. I don't know.
Wasn't during an event.
No, it was the last night.
Yeah, if it's not during an event, if you have an event with multiple people, yeah, we have police coverage, but
Yeah.
I don't think we can,
No, I know, it's open season. You can do what you want.
yeah. I think the only thing somebody can do is make a complaint, call the police, call the sheriff's department, or call our
I got called
PD.
last night. That's who I called, and the dispatcher said that, you know, they had sent Sergeant Lamb there.
Take pictures, I think that's all you can do.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
And then
There's signs there, the sign clearly says no alcohol.
No dogs.
I don't understand why they would,
And they were from Massachusetts, by the way.
yeah, well, they don't read signs, so that's why.
That's always an act.
So anyway, I just wanted you to hear that, Chief.
I was aware of that.
Yeah.
Marine Patrol did address the issue. They were out on the swim docks. All of them were above age. All of them were drinking. I think the issue that I keep saying to you, Dennis, is the fact that town ordinance says you cannot consume alcohol on town property. They step into the water, it's a state body of water. Okay, town ordinance I can't enforce. I will go out on a limb and say, those are our docks, and that's town property. I would enforce it on those docks. So there's an issue there of what can be enforced under ordinance and what cannot. With any case, Marine Patrol handled it and counseled them very thoroughly, is my understanding.
Yeah.
And they came right into shore, they picked up everything,
That's fine. Yeah.
and that's my
So
understanding.
you're saying that if they're in the water drinking, there's nothing we can do about it?
I can't enforce the ordinance
Yeah.
with that in that location.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I can't go down there and say, hey, there's a sign over there, you know, could you, and ask for compliance? I can do that. But if it's a push come to shove, then, you know, there's an issue about what I can apply as law or ordinance and what I can't.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll have to take it on step by step. I do encourage you to call
Yeah.
You know, anything like that's happening, because we'll go down and we're doing our director patrols at the beach and at the wharf and at Lake Street. We're doing what we can. We get out, we walk around, we don't see anything, or hey, you know, it could be alcohol in Yeti cups for all I know.
Right.
But we're not going around checking Yeti cups or doing whatever. If we don't see a can or a bottle visible, and people aren't acting under the influence, then we go on our way to do our next check. So it's just gonna be, for us, the right place at the right time in order to make an enforcement action. And it's important that we have eyes like yours and others down there that call us so that we can get down there and take care of it.
Right.
Yeah. And it's gonna be an ongoing issue.
Yeah, no.
You know, people are gonna enjoy the lake and enjoy
Yeah,
the beach.
in 5 years
part of
I've been there, it
that's
hasn't been that bad. It's just,
Yeah.
it seems like the last 2 weeks we've had 2 incidents, you know, so. Anyway. Chief.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm not sure if you got on the home days. I gave you one, Bob.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, I got it.
How's
I'm
that
good.
one doing?
Oh, I'll take one now.
It's moving right along. She's doing pretty, you know, as good as she can be.
Should we follow this stuff?
Yeah, she'll be there until probably the end of the first week of September.
Well, thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
So, Old Home Week, this here, I was gonna give you guys one, but no, I'm not gonna. You're gonna have to come to the picnic, okay, Chip? You're gonna have to break down and come. This is an XL, so I know it wouldn't fit anybody, so. Double X, this is double X. You want XL, right?
Well,
So he'll be there. You know. But anyway, we got 100 of these shirts we're gonna give away.
Give away. Wow.
Well, they gotta be Tuftonborough residents, so we're not giving them to
Good idea.
people from Mass that cause us to struggle.
Unless they own property, right?
And then actually, there'll probably be about 90 because we're giving some away at the scavenger hunt too. But anyway, Old Home Day starts this coming Saturday. It goes for 8 days. There's some pretty good events. The Historical Society has the first thing with a craft fair. We have a garden cookout. We did that we've done 2 of the last 3 years. There's over 35 people registered for this Sunday. And then we got Dr. Rebecca Owen. She's going to speak afterwards. It's the medical folklore and the science behind it. So if we have 35 people there, hopefully they stay and listen to the speaker. So anyway.
and that's a community garden cookout right here at the garden, right?
Yeah, we'll bring in a couple more tables, and they all bring stuff.
Good.
And we'll have a grill there and stuff, so, yeah. On the 20th, we got a paddleboard demonstration from 9 to 1. Wednesday, we got the Winnie Cup Cornhole Championships, Tuftonborough against Wolfboro. They beat us 2 years ago, close match, but this year we rolled it up, so feel good about it, yeah. Thursday is the big concert with Carolyn Ramsey. Bob has agreed with Eileen to represent the selectmen. We're gonna give out, we got nice plaques for our sponsors. There's 7 of them. Also that day, the PTCO is having a bake sale, so it should be a good night.
And that's this coming Thursday?
No,
Or the following one? Okay.
yeah. And with the concerts, we've lucked out a little bit. Last concert, you keep looking at the radars coming in 11 o'clock. No, now it's 9, now it's 8, then it was 7. Sure enough, 7 it came down.
Yeah.
They played till 8 o'clock, and they were a good band. I mean,
They were a very good
they were
band.
a good band, so they played till late anyway, so hopefully we can get through the last. We got 3 more concerts, and then we got entertainment on the Sunday picnic. That Saturday is the antique car show, the cardboard boat race, scavenger hunt, and the Methodist Church has their luncheon and crafts. Sunday is the picnic with the t-shirts. We've got this guy Jody Robershaw singing, and a DJ John Littlefield. Kids, we got pie eating, sack race, and egg toss. Yard sale, we've got 7 signed up already for October 5th. So in the last 2 years, we've hit like 35 families, so it's a nice day for people to go yard selling. The outrigger, the canoe, the outrigger canoe, the sailing and the yoga are all going good. The lessons, we've had some issues. Our instructor Ella had COVID for 5 days. She canceled 2 days with weather. She had another day where she had duck itch. So we're dealing now with parents that want refunds and everything else, and we'll get them the refunds. It's been inconsistent. It wasn't as smooth as last year. And a lot of them we couldn't control. I mean, she got COVID, and what could we do, you know?
Right.
So, anyway, outside of that, that's it. Any questions, anything? I mean, I just,
Who was it brought up vendors? There were vendors?
the what?
Vendors at the beach?
Are you bringing vendors in to sell stuff?
No, for what?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I think you said that there were paddleboard
The paddleboard.
supplies and stuff, so I think people are just doing it on their own. Like, I don't know, we don't wanna make it Science City, but
It's not like a rental operation going on down there.
Yeah, there's I only know this because,
Sup, New Hampshire?
huh?
You talking about the paddleboards?
Yes.
Yeah. Sarah, the girl I go to the dog park with every morning, we talked about it, introducing it to the community, so they agreed to come in and, actually, I got them tied in with the Kingswood Youth Center, they're gonna give them a free day with all the kids. But it's just trying to get people interested in paddleboard, and they'll let them try, and then if they wanna rent it, they can rent it.
Okay.
But it's just, it was like the elderly canoe or the sailing, it's just trying to expose people to these type of activities that we can offer.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to, I mean, it's not on Dennis's head, but we need to kind of tighten up our municipal policies on that sort of thing. Because we did require insurance from the outlet we drive.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Paddleboard, do they
Yeah,
have
I'm sure they
insurance?
could get that if they had to, yeah.
It's not, if they have to, they have to.
Right.
So everybody has to be treated the same. The sailboats, I guess we're going through Wolfboro on that, right? Yeah,
Vendor policy.
so if you're gonna bring somebody in and they're gonna do some service and it's gonna,
Okay,
they're gonna be charging for it.
I'll do it.
Or providing equipment that we don't own.
Okay.
Just, we need to make sure we're covered in case somebody falls off their
Yeah.
paddleboard.
Just a sidelight, I talked to Joyce today, and she's got some family medical problems. I think both brothers are dying out in Pennsylvania, and she's been back and forth. But I think with her interest now is, of course, her family, but she's kind of backing off a little bit on the park. And then she gets back to me and says that the land bank's not giving us the 20 grand, which they were gonna. And because they're not giving it to us, is because your Parks and Rec director should step up. She told me that today.
So you're gonna cut a check for 20 grand?
They were gonna, but
No,
now they're
you're the
not. Am I
Parks and
gonna?
Rec.
I just bought a new car last weekend, about 22 grand, so I would, but it's gone.
No. But I mean, is that what she's saying?
So, whether she's getting off the commission or just backing off on the bike trail, I don't know. But there was an issue with the conservation, and it got back to me that 2 years ago, we had to co-grant with conservation and us. And the next thing you know, I'm on vacation up on Hermit Island, and we were supposed to sign off on it. So now it comes back to me that I was the guy that we didn't get it in time because I didn't sign it. There was no communication between the state, me, or anything. And if I knew about it, of course I would have signed it. And I think conservation might be holding that because there's people on land bank and conservation, and now they come back to Joyce and say, your Parks and Rec director's gonna step up. And I look at Joyce, I said, hey Joyce, I'm here 20 hours a week. You want me to be a maintenance guy, a program guy, write grants? What do you want me to do? So, I'm just letting you know what's out there. Kind of pissed me off, to be honest with you.
So you lost a grant based on you being on vacation.
Correct.
Those grants don't only occur once. They're generally annual. Did anybody bother to apply
This was a
again?
state grant. The girl was working with us through
Right.
conservation. They needed us and they had to make a certain amount of money in for the grant. Work went into it and we did a lot of background stuff. Why would I not, there was no
Well, that's not the
communication.
point. I mean, how do you, okay, that's all done.
That's gone.
Can't redo
No, I
that.
know.
But they're not doing anything to replace that money that they wanted?
Me?
No, the conservation people.
I don't know.
Well, that's the conversation that should be had,
Yeah.
your signature didn't appear, it doesn't mean that you can't do the same thing over again
Right,
and make sure you're there to sign.
yeah.
And that's, we could throw our hands in the air, I mean, that's an alternative, but it doesn't generally help anything.
No. Life in a big city, I guess, small town politics, I guess, I don't know. But, I mean, to come back and say something like that, didn't sit too well, to be honest with you.
Well, how's your other fundraising going
What fundraising?
for the park? That Joyce was,
It's really, I think it's probably just, nothing's happening. I mean, Andrew keeps promising big money from someone and it's not happening. You know, we're where we are, probably 2 years ago, we're at the same spot.
okay.
And I think, I mean, my focus, to be honest with you, is running programs. Right now, that's my focus.
Mm-hmm.
And Joyce was kind of the lead person behind this, and now she's,
What about the other young lady that was gonna be your assistant manager?
she's at the beach now. Yeah,
Okay.
she's doing the swim lessons. She's the one that had COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same girl. So, anyway. So I'll see you at the picnic?
I'll be there.
You'll be there, I know that.
I'll be there.
I know Dave. Yeah, shoes, but. I got all the plaques ready, I got notes for you and everything.
I don't have to think, just read?
So,
Okay.
okay, we done here?
We're done.
I think so. Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, get some lights here.
We just changed these not too long ago, in the last decade.
Well, we've got 17 minutes before our public hearing,
So do we
so
wanna
let's go through.
vote
Go
on
ahead.
these municipal agreements here, or whatever it is? Purchasing, where did I see it? The general summary and duties of the road agent, for instance.
Well, they're in the signature file, they're in our agenda items.
Oh, all right.
So we'll move on to the consent calendar, which is, can we go back to the original name, action items, I think,
Signature?
or whatever it was, yeah. Because I don't have a consent calendar folder, I have a signature folder.
Okay, I can rename the signature folder.
I get confused enough, I don't need any more confusion in my
No,
life.
I confused me today as well.
Okay, all right.
Don't know why.
So, in this week's consent calendar, we have personnel action for hiring an additional on-call firefighter. Greg Babone? Sorry, Greg. And personnel action form for additional on-call firefighter Stephen Burrows. We have an intent to cut and a right of burial. These two on-call firefighters, these were brought to us 2 weeks ago. We heard the fire chief make a recommendation of hiring. But for some reason, we never really formally got a request to hire, so we didn't. So that additional paperwork has been brought through, and the fire chief is asking that we hire these two gentlemen. So I would make a motion that we sign the 4 items in the consent calendar. The on-call of the two on-call firefighters, the intent to cut, and the right of burial.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
This is the problem with you sitting in the middle.
I know, right? Action items. We have a hazard mitigation grant for $131,811.30 for the Curtis Road drainage system replacement. The town will be responsible for a 10% match, $14,645.70. Now, this is something that we don't have budgeted this year, something that we're going to have to put in the warrant for next year. Or
we still have some contingency or some grant money kicking around. How much is that, 46,000?
Approximately, yeah.
So we've got 46,000 in grant money, we got 75,000 on the contingency line, so we actually could do it before the town meeting. We could agree to the project. We're not obligated to pay anything else other than the 10%.
if we, if for some reason, all right, let me back up. This $14,645.70 that the town of Tufton Borough is going to be responsible for, which we don't have budgeted.
Right.
If we take this out of contingency, or what else did you say?
The remainder of the Gopher grants.
The remainder of the Gopher grants?
Which we have to use up by 2026.
Okay. Would we be replacing that money? Would we be putting a warrant article in March of 2025 to replace this $14,645.70?
We can't replace the Gopher money.
Right.
Can't
have to
replace
either-
a contingency either.
And we can't actually keep it unless we spend it.
Okay.
I mean, I've got the description that, so we have to commit to pay a third party, and we have to obligate the money to that project. We can't, I had mentioned maybe putting that into the undesignated fund balance just to get it into some spendable form. And that's not an opportunity that we have. We have to spend it on a project. So I'm in agreement with you that we should probably have a warrant article, but that warrant article would read that we are paying for it out of the Gopher money and through federal grant money. So there's no impact to the taxpayer. But we're empowered to spend that $46,000 as a Board of Selectmen, and that was voted when we received that grant.
So we have already received the grant?
Yeah,
What happens if we don't spend it?
goes to Kentucky or some other place where they have more effective legislators.
So is it in our best interest to spend it from there, as long as we can do so within?
It's in our best interest to spend it on something that's good for the town.
Mhm.
I mean, it's $46,000 of our collective income taxes coming back to take care of some projects here in town. So
So-
we did buy a dump truck with it instead of charging the taxpayer. We did do some paving with it, so it has,
Is it earmarked for any place else at this moment? Sounds like it's not.
I don't
It
think,
has specific requirements. It has to be for infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
or I think it was also a capital project,
Mhm.
something specific. So I would say, since you have to designate it by a certain time, the infrastructure would fit.
I guess I don't see a reason why we wouldn't.
No, so what I'm hearing is that if we spend $14,645.70,
Mhm.
we'll get $131,811.30.
kind of a no-brainer.
Kind of what I'm saying, yeah, that's exactly, but, so
But
this,
we don't get the 131,000 unless the town road
Ponies
agent
up.
does the project.
correct. Now, how does this complement or in harmony with the something $1,000, different road, never mind. I answered
Yeah,
my,
it's the
I
same-
answered my own question.
It's the same pot, but it's a different.
A different road,
Yeah.
okay. No, I answered my own question. Do we have to have a public hearing to accept this grant?
I don't believe you have to. I think I attached the email where they gave me instructions, and the wording that I've given you is very specific to the motion that needs to be made. I had to provide them other information as well.
Okay.
So, because it hasn't been awarded to the town, so I don't think you have to accept it yet.
At some point, my
I-
memory is
I'll-
telling me that we need to have a public hearing.
Right, and I will do that research.
Okay.
I don't think you need to do it to make the motion that the state's recommended today.
But we can get the ball rolling
Yes.
Right.
Right.
without any liability to the town.
Yep.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion, let's see, I'll make the motion.
Hold on. Is this motion specific, specific language?
Yes.
Okay, you've got, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I will make the motion to accept the terms of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program as presented in the amount of $131,811.30 for the Curtis Road Drainage System Replacement Project. Furthermore, the board acknowledges that the total cost of this project will be $146,457, in which the town will be responsible for a $10,000 match, which is
10% match.
10% match, which equals $14,645.70.
Second that motion?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? of the
Aye.
motion? Aye.
Excuse me, Chairman, there's a lot of signatures on that, so you have to do the bottom of each page. You might want to
Okay.
wait in the...
Okay, I'll wait. Don't let me forget.
Well,
And we had a discussion with the fire department a couple of weeks ago about the FEMA grant. And there's a couple pieces of information for this FEMA grant that they're missing. One is is an acknowledged procurement policy for the town of Tufton Borough, which we have. And, but we for some reason, we don't have a signed adoption of the procurement policy. So we're gonna do that tonight. And also a signed job description for the road agent. This job description is not changing. It's what he's currently working under. For some reason, again, we just don't have a signed copy in our possession, and we are doing that. So I would make a motion to sign the Tufton Borough procurement policy and the road agent job description.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Is transfer station not coming in?
Transfer station's not coming in. No, I don't know that. Is Chris coming in?
I sent him a note and asked him where he was, or if he forgot, or I haven't heard back yet.
Okay. All right, and we have a note from William Hazlitt. 6 Union Wharf Road, who apparently, I don't recall the conversation, maybe it was before my time, I don't know, requesting a hidden driveway sign be placed approaching his driveway. Apparently there's dangerous, I'll just read this. Years ago, I warned of the situation described below to no avail. We have a dangerous situation on the street because of oncoming cars. Cars come downhill at very good speeds as we attempt to back out of our driveway. When we have visitors, we need to direct traffic to them because they are unaware of the situation. A hidden driveway sign or anything else would be appropriate. I haven't witnessed this myself, but I'm confident if there's a problem like that, it's real. So I think that's a reasonable request. And how do you guys feel?
I see no
You
problem
think we
with it.
should talk to our road agent about this, or he does the signage?
Have him review it and get his recommendation?
Well, we're gonna have to tell him to get a sign for it, so.
Mm-hmm. Are you saying you want to have the road agent here first before we vote?
I would, but you guys
Okay.
can vote as well.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think it's a fair request, but,
You know, obviously with his opening statement, he's been waiting a while, so.
yes, yeah,
Another week won't matter.
no. But definitely take this under advisement. And are the Haslets here? No? Okay. We'll take this under advisement, meet with our road agent, and come to a decision, hopefully at the next Selectmen's meeting. Great. Next is,
I'm wondering on that driveway sign, if it's also like law enforcement as far as line of sight, how far away the sign has to be. I'll pass it by the chief too.
can't hurt.
Yeah.
Can't hurt. We're about a minute away from 6 o'clock, so I'm going to postpone the correspondence folder until after the public hearing. But we are having a public hearing tonight for the Tibbetts Road emergency access. That's what I'm trying to, here it is. There's what I'm looking for. Okay, I would like to call to order a public hearing for the Tibbetts Road Emergency Lane designation. This is August 12th, 2024, 6 p.m. In accordance with New Hampshire RSA 231:59-A, emergency lanes, the public, 231:59A, emergency lanes, semicolon. The public hearing is for the purpose of designating Tibbetts Road an emergency lane. Tibbetts Road is a private road. If deemed an emergency lane, the responsibility to improve and maintain Tibbetts Road is the responsibility of the Village District of Lower Beach Pond. The town will not incur any expense for repairs or maintenance. Okay, and who is representing the Village District of Lower Beach Pond?
Well, I think you just take public comment now, so everyone needs to state their names and addresses.
Well, just for the sake of people watching, whoever's representing the Village District, why don't you come on up and just give a brief, we've all heard it, but there's a lot of people who haven't. So if you would give a brief on what we're doing here tonight.
Hello all.
Hi, state your name and address.
Tim Christian, 15 Beechwood Drive, Tuftonburg, New Hampshire.
Thank you.
We were in to visit the Selectmen earlier this year in regards to what we just proposed. We're asking for Tibbetts Road to be declared an emergency way. so that the village district is able to appropriate funds via taxation to participate in the maintenance, our summer maintenance for Tibbetts Road. We're not asking them to pick up the sole responsibility of the maintenance. We're asking them to basically be another landowner on the road that participates in our summer maintenance. Basically, all that entails is for them to do their maintenance down there if the dam needs work, or when we recently in the past had to do a new dam. Our road is the only access to get to the dam, so we're just asking them for a small contribution annually to help us with our annual maintenance.
Okay, you said through taxation.
Correct.
That's not through town taxation. That's
Correct.
private tax collected.
It will be through the town of Tufton Borough, but the only properties and parties that are in any way affected by this is the Lower Beach Pond Village District. So we have the list that's been sent out. Actually, I think you sent that out for us. I'm going to just ballpark this and say there's 255 parcels in question here. There's a handful in Wolfboro, the majority of which are in Tufton Borough. The town they attach a separate line item on your tax bill that is for the village district only. Anybody else that's not in the district does not have this line item. So the annual budget that the village district appropriates, you'll have a separate line item, and it's broken down via your parcel property evaluation. So whatever your dollar is, basically yours may be worth 500, yours is worth 300, so you may donate $1, you may donate 53 cents. That's the taxation. No one else in town has anything to do with it. It's only the village district properties.
Okay, and this comes under our operating budget?
No.
No?
No, the village district is given the funds, I think, at the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken, and then they disperse themselves.
But you
Okay.
need to, I'm sure that, I know there's a form that you fill out with how much money the village district is gonna need the tax collector to collect.
Correct, yes, they do their
We're
annual,
not voting on it right now.
no, they do their annual budget hearing,
Right.
just like the town does, and then we'll have our annual meeting. The information will get submitted to the DRA, the Department of Revenue, I'm sorry, and then you guys are given the information, which in turn, you collect the money and then it's distributed to the village district who pays their bills whenever they pay their bills.
Okay, okay, I was just trying to understand the mechanism myself.
And the first that this would affect would be for next year's appropriations.
I'm sorry, can you state your name and?
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew Macy, 72 Hidden Drive, Center.
So,
Could you do me a favor and just come up, just so that you can be heard on the speaker as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of follow on what Tim said. So we do an appropriations process on the state's portal, just like you guys probably do. We submit it through, and then once our budget's approved, the towns will add the amounts that need to be collected to the appropriate taxpayers' bills. Then both Wolfboro and Tufton Borough will send us a check, each a check.
Yep.
After they collect their taxes and distribute. We have done our appropriations for 2024. It is too late to do this, what Tim has brought this up for 2024. So our first attempt to appropriate this would be for next year when we do our budget meeting between May and the end of June of 2025.
So how many property owners did you say?
Tim, you know, it's a couple,
It's 20-ish, I think.
yeah, it's a
20?
few hundred. Those property owners already know that they're part of the district. They are already being taxed for various aspects of maintaining the dam, such as the road, such as the insurance, the dam fees. There's a monitor fee. There's some maintenance. There's something that we pay to do maintenance, like brush cleaning and all that sort of stuff. So this would just be an addition to that. Right now, it's like Tim said, it's probably a couple dollars per person. Our budget for was at $4,400.
Tim's not a member of the village district.
Tim is technically not a member of the village district
So,
for weird reasons that I don't fully understand.
because it wasn't a part of the development. But, so how are the properties on Tibbetts Road, which aren't members of the village district, participating?
That's not entirely correct. So one aspect of it is that, as I had mentioned earlier, Tibbetts Road is the only access to the dam. There's no other way to get there. Secondly, not all the parcels on the property are in the village district, but there are several that are. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I believe, properties offhand that are part of the village district that are at the end of the road. I own property that is on the pond, but I don't domicile there, so I do not meet the requirements of being within the village district, but that parcel of property that we do own will be taxed as well. I just don't happen to live there, so I can't be a voting member, and I can't be on their board.
But you have a vested interest. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with 231:59-A emergency lanes. Of all it, and what was striking to me is there's no liability to the town based on our decision here. The liability rests solely on you folks.
Correct.
But all it takes is for one person in your collective to vote no,
Correct.
and this doesn't work.
Correct.
Well, to have it changed to an emergency lane?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes, and so that was why part of the whole process here was we had to send out, I believe, we spoke about this, and we had to send out letters to everyone, actually snail mail, handwritten letters, to everyone within the village district to notify them of this meeting. So if they had any qualms or complaints or questions, or they wanted to vote no, this is their opportunity to do so. Now, I also am aware that even if this is voted yes, if someone decides at a future date that they don't like this and they say we don't want this to happen, and then this is brought back to you, then that can also be terminated.
Okay. I will open up the floor to the public.
Why not?
Sure. Anybody? What's that?
Yeah,
You can step aside. If anybody wants to come up and speak, they can.
Me too?
Sure. Sure. Just be prepared to answer questions. And anybody like to speak, either for or against?
Neither for or against, but
Name and address, please.
Gail McDonald, 15 Canal Road, Center Tuckenboro. As being part of Hidden Valley and talking to people there, they did get the letter, but they were under the impression they couldn't vote one way or the other because that wasn't their permanent residence.
That's true.
I don't know if that matters.
That's true.
Yeah, you have to.
So when you're saying people can vote, it has to be people that's their permanent residence. Okay, all right.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll close the public session then. I have no further questions. Do you?
No.
Dave? Okay. We don't have a format for a motion, but I guess I would make a motion to establish Tibbetts Road as an emergency lane under the, what's the word I'm looking for? Under the guise of
Subject to
subject to the RSA 231:59-A emergency lanes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Aye.
There you go.
There you go.
But it was-
And for what it's worth, this was very much supported by the Tufton Borough Fire Department.
Well, we greatly appreciate them, and they appreciate you guys in doing this as well, because it really helps make some of the town people.
Thank you for coming.
Okay. You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.
Did you hear that, Barry?
I'm sorry.
No, I was talking to Barry Ennis. I was making sure you could hear that.
All right, we're gonna get into the correspondence folder. Lakes Region Planning Commission, sounds like Mr. Galvin, our representative for Lakes Region Planning Commission, is no longer interested in remaining commissioner on the board. I don't think there's any formal action that needs to be taken.
Probably need to appoint someone else.
We have to find somebody else to do it.
Well, let it be known then that the Lakes Region Planning Commission is looking for a representative from the town of Tuftonboro to be our liaison between the town and the Lakes Region Planning Commission. So if anybody is interested, please contact Audrey, our town administrator. We have here, it looks like an invite for the centennial event at next week's annual meeting of the Abenaki Tower and Trail Association.
I thought that was Saturday.
Oh, it
This
was
is different,
Saturday.
this is different than the annual meeting. I think that was a celebration.
The Abenaki Tower Centennial Birthday Party was Saturday,
That,
August 10th.
right, but that's not, I don't think that's the annual meeting? Am I incorrect in
The annual
saying?
meeting's 14th, it's a separate thing.
Yes, okay, which is tomorrow.
But that's
No.
not a, no, it's the day after tomorrow. but-
Sorry.
This is just a reminder that the association's annual meeting is next Wednesday, August 14th at 6:30 at the Tuftonboro Free Library.
Right.
If anybody would like to
We're not
attend.
members of that association.
Nope, but if anybody would like to attend out of their own interest, there it is. Tuftonboro Free Library monthly financial report. Gravestone repair report for the cemetery work done in 2024. I haven't had a chance to look through this yet. But as I've seen in years past, they give quite an extensive report with pictures and descriptions, and it looks like they do a very, very nice job at maintaining our cemeteries. So whoever is responsible for bringing them in, thank you.
Thank you.
I assume you're part of that?
No, actually,
No?
I'm just a sexton.
Okay.
He's just the navigator.
Guy that drives the stakes in the ground.
I'm a pretty face.
And this is
Rod.
from Rod Wood, our municipal assessing consultant. Let's see. This is about current use on the property.
This is a response to BTLA for them wanting to know about the current use, and Mr. Wood had not copied the Board of Selectmen. I wanted to make sure that the BTLA was indeed responded to, so I asked for a copy of the letter,
Okay, so this is a response.
yeah, to BTLA.
Okay, with our recommendation,
Yeah.
or rejection recommendation, I should say. Okay, thank you. DOT, Highway Block Aid Grant. State Highway Block Grant Aid anticipated to be available to the town of Tuftonboro during fiscal year 2025 is as follows. Well, it's broken down into 4 different payments for a total fiscal year of $86,946.45.
86,000.
86,946. It's almost 87,000.
I know, it's still lower than it had been.
Well, it's better than a poke in the eye.
I haven't gotten poked in the eye.
Yeah. So
Been a while.
I'm sure we'll find a use for that. And 2 notices from the Tuftonboro Board of Adjustment that, let's see, variance,
It's a hearing notice coming up.
hearing on August 14th, beginning at 7 o'clock at the town office. Request by Glenn and Colleen Rach for a variance concerning Article 4.2 1V of the zoning ordinance. And Fred and Eunice Sargent from Melvin Village Marina for a special exception concerning Article 3.6 F13 of the zoning ordinance. And I think this is the same thing. Two pieces of paper that say the same thing. Okay, that's it in correspondence.
Excuse me, I just want to note that we have received the first installment of the highway block grant. That
For
might
twenty
submit.
twenty-four, right? Oh, we need those numbers that you provided us when we do the
Yeah, I'm just,
estimated revenues for 2024,
Yep.
25.
so if we, the first payment that we've received is $26,083.93. And in October, we're expected to receive the same, $26,083.93. Okay. Cool. And it looks like we have an estimate here for backhoe repair. As we talked about 2 weeks ago, the backhoe is in need of repair, and it's going to include a rental, and I don't see the rental in this, but the repairs to the backhoe alone are $16,274.23. It's quite a shopping list here. And I don't see a rental fee included, so if you want to take a look at this, feel free. I have a Selectmen's update from Jim Bean. He's not here tonight, but he has given us a written update. Jim Bean, our road agent, which I'll read. He's completed the 2 culverts on Tuftonboro Neck Road that needed replacing. He's replaced the culvert on Chandler Road. He's removed 2 rocks from under the pavement on Chandler Road. Placed 2 rocks on the end of Union Wharf by the wooden dock to prevent vehicles and heavy equipment from driving on it. He's filled potholes on the dirt roads and repaired areas from the heavy rains. Roadside mowing is done and road grinding is done. I presume that's on Tuftonboro Neck Road.
Right.
I received a message that he also did calcium chloride there today.
And laid calcium down?
Pardon?
And sprinkled calcium down?
Yes.
Okay.
And it should be about 3 to 4 weeks until it gets paid.
Very good. Town administrator and selectmen's updates.
I've had more public input in the last week than I've probably experienced in the year that I've been here. We've had everything from how to deal with wet logs that come up or they pull out of the water.
How to deal with what?
Wet logs.
Wet logs?
Yes.
In the lake?
Yeah.
Wow. Are they timbering and floating logs again?
I don't know where they came from.
I would call the Marine Patrol because wet
And
logs
they-
floating in the lake are
and
not
they
our,
said- They said it's.
not our purview.
They said they're related to the highway department. So I guess once they're on shore, as we heard earlier, they're the towns, I don't know. So, and then Chip, you were there when that gentleman said one of the ash trees that was dropped on his property, he would like to have removed. And I'm gonna send him the RSA that I believe is now his. I'm trying to light a fire under the survey company because Mr. Carlton has an offer on his pit and wants that land subdivided as soon as possible. I was in 2 separate meetings last week regarding financing for the fire truck. I met with the, I can't remember their full name, but the health insurance, it's a New Hampshire-based health insurance, the county has it, and they're going to give us a quote so we can compare health insurance companies.
Health Trust?
No. It's, the town used to have it, it's like a New Hampshire health bank or something.
Right. We were members of a group.
Yeah.
Name's escaping me at the moment.
Which is generally how we operate anyway, because we're so small.
And I've gotten the budget committee, I think, settled for tomorrow night. I put a copy of their agenda in your folders, and you have the latest expense reports. I will not be there tomorrow night. Ashley will be there to take minutes.
So the expense report that we have in our folder is the most recent one,
Mm-hmm.
July 24th.
You might have multiples in yours.
I know you could claim that, but I don't think I
No,
do.
it should be
What's
earlier than
the
that.
most recent one that you have?
Mine says 8/9.
I will not be there as well.
I'll be there tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I'll go tomorrow night.
All right.
I think I handed it to you, Chip, when you were in the office.
I don't know why I've got July 27th. Should I just throw that away?
Sure.
Okay.
I have 8. Yeah, mine's August 9th.
And the next one says as of August GL. But it's 8/9, I guess.
There
Right?
you go.
General ledger. Sorry. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And we're getting ready for the MS 434, the revenues. I'm working on those. And we had a notice that I sent out to Rod, you should know, for the MS1 for the valuations of the town. Those are both DRA reports due by the end of August. They're due September 1st. So you should have both of those ready to sign in your next meeting.
Which is the 26th.
It's on the
26th Monday, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really all I have right now.
Okay. Chip?
I came in a couple of times to talk with Audrey, discussing the gopher money and also making sure, or trying to find out when the budget meeting was, and I guess it's tomorrow night, so that was easy. The other, no, I think everything else has been addressed in public, because we talked about revision. Also, reviewed Tyler's recommendations, but the church wants to get involved with a walkthrough over on Lake Street
Mm-hmm.
to determine where some retaining wall could be put or might be put. So I didn't pick a date for that, because I haven't talked to you guys before picking a date. Probably could do a walk by.
Yeah, we could. But if the church wants to have a say, now's the time to say, rather than waiting.
Yeah, because we're trying to.
So do more than one of you want to attend, or?
Depends on when it is.
I mean, I'm available most of the time,
Right.
as long as it's not an extended meeting. But
So I can see if you can do it first thing in the morning, or?
Yeah, first thing in the morning, or even mid to after lunch. I can leave work an hour. I can leave work an hour or two early,
Okay.
or first thing in the morning. It doesn't matter.
And I did talk to Audrey about contacting all the department heads, so let's get together what capital needs are going to be coming forward in the fall for next year's budget.
Mm.
And I think we're going to find ourselves probably putting some capital reserves together. I don't know, was there a determination that you're going to the CIP meetings,
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes,
Okay,
and we voted that in.
what a good idea.
We should be meeting with these department heads sooner than later. Maybe for the next couple of meetings, we can meet with a couple to start. I don't know, what do you think?
I don't know, it's my first CIP process here, and so.
They're going to have a joint meeting with the budget committee sometime in the fall. That's
Right.
generally the kickoff for CIP.
Okay.
And I don't know who's running it this year. I don't know, is
It sounds like Jill. I gotta.
Yeah,
still
Jill's
there?
doing it, and I think she has sent out the notice already, and then I'm copied automatically when a request comes in. I get the request, so we had one today for a new vehicle for code enforcement officer. And so I will be seeing those rolling in, as they submit them.
Right.
And,
And
so,
I guess
in my experience, the boards or the departments do put in requests to CIP, and then they can cover them with the selectmen too. I'm not quite sure how it works with you doing it together. I'm feeling a little bit like the departments are being asked to submit them 3 times, because budget's overseeing CIP a little, and they should have a rep, but I don't think the budget committee should be focusing on CIP requests when the department heads come in with their budgets. The capital thing should be almost separate. So I think there should be a defined process, because your department heads are being asked for you, for budget, and CIP. So what's the role of CIP? Are they getting the capital requests and putting the report together with their highest recommendations? Then you want to talk to budget, or do you want to hear them at the same time? I think there should be some structure in how.
Well, there absolutely should be structure.
Yeah.
The last couple of years that I've been doing this, it's been very loose, and CIP hasn't been happy. So I think as you being our representative, I think that this burden is going to fall on you to come up with a procedure that kind of makes everybody happy. So I look forward to seeing this
Okay, so
procedure.
they're gonna have their.
The problem has been, and will continue to be until somebody puts their thumb on it, the inconsistency. So you may say the departments are asked multiple times to submit things for capital projects, but they have not in the past, or I don't know, hopefully they will this year, submitted consistent reports to the selectmen. So when we have in the past gone to the CIP meetings, it's all brand new. It's not stuff that the selectmen have even talked about. And that's where frustration on our end, which regardless of the CIP's problem with the select board, we are the financial officers of this town. They're just an advisory board. I don't care if they're upset. I really don't. I was really pissed about the wording of their report, the preamble, if you will. But I've gotten over it. I'm fine. But look for consistency. What we get as selectmen needs to be exactly what the CIP gets. That's all I'm recommending. And I'm not going to participate in the CIP this year at all. So
I would go a little bit further, Chip, and say that if it goes to the CIP and doesn't get to the selectmen, or vice versa, should not be under consideration.
yeah, although the only caveat to that is that CIP does project out 10 years.
Right, I was gonna go there a little bit, so they might see things that, should be in the 5-year plan, let's say, where I think what I hear is that you're, really concerned about what's coming on the table for warrants and things next year. But I think as a rep, we have a kickoff meeting in a couple of weeks, and I should bring everything to you every meeting.
Right.
And, if I only see like one thing from code enforcement, then, I'll bring that to you, so. And I'll know a lot more once I've met with the committee too and see how they operate.
Yeah. The other thing that kind of strikes me is that I feel like with the CIP and their request to the heads, department heads for these, there's been an awful lot of having to chase people to get their requests in. Why are we doing that? We're all adults here. If they don't get their requests in, if the notice has been duly processed, they've gone, if we've given them notice for the department heads to get requests in, if they don't get it in, that's on them.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
And so the whole chasing thing has to stop.
Right.
And because I remember being on the CIP and having this very issue. Your battery's running low.
So, we have a CIP kickoff meeting in a couple weeks, and I'll report next meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
I don't have any updates because I haven't had any meetings since our last Selectmen's meeting. I did talk with Dennis. He asked me to attend the concert in 2 weeks to help with the award presentation. That's about it. Dave?
I have a note to myself from a while ago, actually, that pertains to a winter weather policy. Is it winter weather? Sorry, hold on. Winter weather maintenance policy. I'm gonna have to get back to you on, but it was something that in one of the classes, I think that both of us were in, or maybe it was the roads class, had highly suggested having a winter weather maintenance policy, but I'll get back on that. Because it did sound like a good idea.
I know at the county we have policies in place, and those are driven by our insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
I might have come across one when I was searching for policies. I have not found a central location for policies in the paper or electronic systems. So when I was searching for the job description, I came across a policy for the beach and using the beach. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if the people are signing this, that are, you know, the lifeguard, etc. So there are policies out there that I find referenced, but I don't always find the paper copy.
I will try to, obviously I'll clarify what that means and try to come up with a suggestion for that. That's it for me.
Okay. Is there any other business we need to tend to tonight? Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
What you'll find, Dave, is that there is a winter maintenance policy,
Good.
and then at the very end, he said, it's all at the discretion of the road agent.
Everything is.
Yeah, that's all. The policy means nothing. He can do what he wants.
Okay.
That's why the
Selectmen.
job description.
Well, it's part of it. It is part of his job description.
I don't think